You ever see one of those mind-blowing AI agent demos and just think, wow, only to find out later that it could never, ever work in the real world? Yeah, it's a super common frustration. So in this explainer, we're going to break down how to bridge that massive gap, the one between a cool demo and a truly reliable production-ready system.
It's really the million-dollar question, isn't it? You see these agents doing incredible things in a perfect, controlled little sandbox. But the second they face the chaos of production, with real budgets, strict compliance rules, and messy, unpredictable data, they just completely fall apart. Why does this keep happening?
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. Most platforms out there can run tasks. That's the easy part. But very, very few can actually run intelligence. We've gotten really good at predictable, scripted stuff. But running a system that has to reason, adapt, and make decisions on its own, well, that's a whole different ballgame.
Which brings us to the current state of AI agents. Honestly, it feels a lot like the Wild West. It's this chaotic, untamed frontier where pretty much anything can happen. And for businesses, that anything is usually not good.
So, what does this Wild West actually look like? Well, building what's called an agentic system today usually means grabbing a scheduler from over here, an agent library from over there, and just stitching it all together with digital duct tape. It's a house of cards. Sure, it might stand up for a 5-minute demo, but the first gust of real-world complexity, the whole thing comes crashing down.
And the symptoms of this are just painful. You've got costs that spiral out of control because there are no built-in spending limits. When something inevitably goes wrong, there's zero audit trail to figure out why the AI did what it did. You get processes stuck in infinite loops, just burning money. And the outputs are all over the place because they aren't grounded in trusted data. Worst of all, you can get these action storms, where one tiny event triggers thousands of unwanted actions, completely overwhelming your system.
So it is crystal clear the old way of just duct taping a scheduler and an agent library together just doesn't cut it. We need a totally new way of thinking. We have to move from that simple, fragile approach to something we call governed orchestration. And that leads us to the solution. Instead of trying to add more patches and more glue, we need a completely new philosophy. What we really need is an operating system for intelligence.
And this is exactly what agentic orchestration is. It's not just another tool. It's a foundational layer, an execution plane, built specifically for intelligent work. The best way to think about it is like a city planner. You don't build a functioning city by just letting everyone build roads wherever they feel like it, right? You need a plan, you need rules, you need infrastructure.
So how does this city plan for AI actually work? Well, it all breaks down into a clear hierarchy of control. You start at the top with the process. That's your master plan, setting the big picture budgets and policies. From there, you define a workflow, which is like a specific blueprint for a single building project. Then you have the run, which is the actual day-to-day construction work. And what do you get at the end? The artifact, a finished, inspected building you can actually use, with a full record of how it was made.
Now, to make this whole OS for intelligence thing really work, it's built on 3 fundamental pillars. And these pillars directly solve all those problems from the Wild West. Let's dig into each one.
Okay, first up, governance. Think of this as the rule of law for your AI. It makes sure every single action is compliant. So for example, an agent can't contact a customer outside of business hours or touch sensitive data without permission. Every decision is logged, and you can even set up checkpoints that require a human to approve critical steps, like before a final quote gets sent out.
The second pillar is budgets, and this one is a game changer. It tackles those terrifying out-of-control costs. Instead of running a process and then getting a massive bill later, a process has to request a budget lease before it can do anything. If the funds aren't there, it simply doesn't run. This model makes runaway spending physically impossible.
And finally, there's grounding. This is what solves the problem of unreliable or, let's be honest, just made-up answers from the AI. Grounding connects your agents to curated, trusted sources of truth, your company's actual data. This means the AI isn't just guessing based on some random stuff it found on the internet. It's operating on facts, and that makes its outputs reliable, consistent, and traceable.
So that's all the theory. But what does this actually look like in practice? Let's walk through a quick, real-world scenario to see how all these pillars come together. All right, imagine this super common situation. Your system detects a sudden, massive spike in data coming in. You need an analysis report, and you need it fast to figure out what's going on. In the old Wild West world, this is exactly the kind of thing that could trigger a huge cost spike or a runaway process.
But in a governed workflow, it's a completely different story. The event is detected, sure, but before a single thing runs, the system automatically checks. Is this allowed by policy? Is there enough budget for it? Only when it passes those checks is it admitted to run. And at the very end, the final report is saved as a durable, versioned artifact with a complete history of how it was made. See the difference? Every step is checked and documented. That is what real control looks like.
And here's one of the most powerful ideas in this whole thing. A single workflow isn't just one AI doing everything. No, it's a hybrid team. You can use a simple deterministic tool for one step, then hand off to a creative AI agent for the next, and then bring in a human expert for that critical judgment call, all working together seamlessly in one managed process.
So what's the big payoff here? Why does making this shift from the chaotic Wild West to a controlled, governed city actually matter for a business at the end of the day?
Well, the business outcomes are huge, and they directly fix the problems we started with. You get cost predictability, no more of that hidden token burn. You get a much faster time to value because your teams can reuse these governed components instead of building custom plumbing from scratch every time. You build trust and compliance because every single decision is auditable. You can finally achieve cross-domain agility, connecting different parts of your business safely. And crucially, you get real operational control, the power to pause, update, and manage these intelligent systems just like any other production software.
And this isn't just about the bottom line. It empowers literally everyone on the team. Architects can design systems that are consistent and governed by default. Developers get to focus on the fun part, building great tasks, without getting bogged down in the orchestration nightmare. And the ops team, they finally get the clear visibility and control they need to keep everything running smoothly.
And this really brings us full circle, back to that core idea. This entire approach is about making a fundamental leap forward. It's the difference between saying, yeah, we can run agents as a cool science project, and being able to confidently say, we can run intelligence as a core, reliable part of our business, safely, explainably, and at any scale.
So the final question isn't if you can put AI to work, it's how. Once you have a framework to run intelligence with real safety and control, the possibilities are just enormous. It really makes you think, what's the first critical business process that you would transform?